researching it or whatever, there's probably some points I really want to get into that I should have wrote down, but I didn't. But just offhand, automated attack platforms is probably something that we really want to go for, because the thing is the size of it, and when we get into the resources, like if we're building out possibly tens of thousands of something, it's the amount of metal that came down to it, a lot of it in World War II. And Germany was very uh the resources were so finite, they had to attend to it really. Yeah, to attend to that issue. So the point being is like, what kind of armor do we want? And the armor would have to be like stopping a 50 cal, and all day long we'll stop a 50 cal and moving on to the next tank and to levels that we want to put out into a car. That we can mass produce at that level. Something not as big as a car. So of course we'll have the infantry fighting vehicles and light attack vehicles, um, or joint light, whatever that is, right? And so that'd be their main thing. These are armored cars are probably going to be the primary thing that we should put out, because going super heavy, we could take out a tank. They'll just focus in um, their anti-armor missiles on it. So I was looking at these weasels or whatever, right? And it's sort of like the same general concept. But what is a weasel? It is a weapons platform. And this is what we need to be focusing on: mass waves. This is what could take them out. Infantry fighting vehicles would take out the heavy stuff, 30 millimeter cannons, or we could upgun it to 50 millimeter cannons, the infantry fighting vehicles. And that'll take out any tank. And we could put a more powerful engine into it, make it a little bit faster, and more force shark capabilities for those infantry fighter vehicles, without a doubt. But on the our new Hummers, those light joint attack vehicles, all you had to do is put our new autocannon on it, or choose our weapon system, or even like private sector put a armored car and put like a cannon on that. But the fact of the matter is that what won in World War II were the T-34s and the Shermans, because they were put out in masses and they were able to stop most, um, light arms, small arms, if not, I won't say how much they stop, but the majority of it. But we could do it better, and everything short of a direct artillery blast or a direct anti tank missile will be fine. Because anything more than that, it just the weight, it just where you're sacrificing resources and material for something that just is improbable. So you want to make it hard to kill, harder than a human to kill, basically. And this is basically what a DARPA. Imagine someone shooting at that. The thing, I have a problem with this, and you look at the development of the Weasel, and it is a little comical, but look at the shape of it and everything of it. It's basically a miniature tank, and it's loaded ground, and this is basically a two-man tank. And what this essentially is an intelligent version of an automated tank, right? And it serves as weapons platform. You can put these out in numbers, and you could even put like a carriage on that to have like a 120 mortar on the back of it. And this is a 20 millimeter cannon. And you put anti-tank. And this is smaller than a car, so you could put that out. But the size of this is almost ideal. This is too small. This would get caught behind, and enemy lines, and this issues. I could see how Not it's just, the size of it is just a little bit on the small side. This is more of a range that we want to go towards, especially if you're going to be automated. You don't want it. The wheels are way too small. You want the wheels to be up around here to traverse even more, and you want it to stick out further so it could climb. And so these run flat are really good ideas. So something over here, a big ass gun too. So want to try to shrink it. Hold on, here we go. My fault. I carried away. So these wheels need to be a little bit taller up to here. So this is basically a DARPA thing, right? And this is what I'm talking about, these weasels. What this is basically a miniature tank. Two-man vehicle, and the ship was designed, to traverse, a lot of different environments. But this right here is way too small, as for I tell. This is too small of a tank. Imagine someone trying to shoot that, it'd be very difficult, but I could see this getting stuck in a regular trench. You need to go across country, not just move around on a lab. This is a laboratory thing. This is a test bed. These are what these small ones are, because you don't want to waste a lot of money, right? So you build these small things, and that's what that is. This is a correct size of a weapons platform, because you want to get in between, fill where a human could walk and where a normal tank can't get to. So you want to build your normal tanks, right? But it defeats the purpose because even a javelin could take out a normal tank, right? So you want to have this. You could build a new variant of this to stomp a 50 cal all day long. Is what you could do, right? Is make the engine smaller and more powerful, because we have that capability. This is 1978. Make the tracks wider, but not the tank wider itself, right? And you can make it the tank probably just a little bit shorter to decrease the weight. And we have a 20 millimeter cannon on that. Um, yeah, I mean, so, and you can give a little. So what you want to do is have the human being protected more, and that's the object of this. So they could kill more people as they're coming in. So you have to focus on three main things. Like, well, not three main things. You want to focus on specific weapons they can build in mass. They can build in quantity that have quality, to a certain threshold. So you need the infantry fighting vehicle in tens of thousands. You need armor cars and our new joint. Let's make sure we get that name right, right? Joint light tactical vehicle. So, and I don't want to make this too long, but this. We want to do these modular type things. This is a 50 cal here. So one would be Canon 50 cal. One would be anti-tank 50 cal. One would be some other weapons platform, and I think you would probably, some other determined weapons platform yet to be determined. So definitely anti-tank and cannon. So, but it's modular, so you could switch it off on what you need. So you don't want to like make this permanent, right? And same thing with these automated tanks. This would be modular to what the situation calls for. And when you're building a new tank, you want it these you have to build for the future. So these upgrades could be put in. You put wiring that will last the next 50, 100 years with low to little maintenance. But that compartment is where you could change out the electronics and it could be updated. That's what you got to do, make it modular like that. You see what's happening with Russia with their new tanks. They just don't last, and they have to go to the oldest fucking tanks that could just sit there forever, and they could just put them out, which are like from the fucking 50s and shit, 60s, right? You won't have the same issue. But anyways, we have to choose on, a couple of different vehicles, and we have to choose them now. So, so this was approved in 2006, 2015. It was finally finalized, and I think in eight. Okay, so produced, already approved in. There we go. Number of built. So this is something we have 20,000 about, give or take, on paper. This is something that needs to be built in the hundreds of thousands. Because you got a picture of these coming out, and this anti armor rockets are just going to be mass produced. So you're going to build hundreds of thousands of tanks. They're just going to be scrapped, or something that could, or like a firefly that has a big gun and protects you. And that's the kind of concept that you want. I mean, it'd be nice to build a lot of strikers, but look how massive that is. You know what I'm talking about? And all it has is a fucking 20 millimeter cannon. And there's a 20 millimeter cannon right there, smaller, less metal. So it's a weapon platform. That's what basically what it is. And then how are you going to get people around the battlefield to be armored personnel carrier? You know, the Bradleys basically, right? I mean, granted, we have all these other different things, but the only thing on the Bradley, I mean, this is to transport troops. So this is the key area. So these are to transport um your infantry, right? This is faster and more mobile. So the smaller you get, the more mobile you want to get, right? That's the whole point. So these want to be even faster than your joint attack. Right? That's the idea. So it's even more mobile. But imagine this going really fast. You could see it tipping over, right? So you need larger wheels on it. That's the whole idea. So I think you want the infantry fighting vehicle fast. If you get it faster, good. You know what I'm talking about? Want to get in there, pull back, get in there, shoot, scoot, talking about, and that kind of thing. So you just don't want to make it, well, it's the biggest, it's slow, but, that kind of thing. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I saw the whole idea of it. Because if you really take this out and you expand this out, what is really this? An automated tank. It is definitely, and the smaller you go, you produce out more. I mean, it's hard to get in, the concept of it. Like you want to go like the biggest and best. You want to go the most advanced. And I know in high school we all were taught, because production we have to outproduce, and it's not exactly the most glamorous thing. Um, but when we just don't want to use words and say, well, okay, we could technically outproduce them, but we have to be smart about it. And earlier, earlier on, we have a good vehicle out now. Um, quite honestly, we have to admit that there is corruption within the our military industrial complex and remove it as quickly as possible. And like right now, see how this is sloped right here? This should be sloped right here. Well, in all honesty, these doors should be sloped. This simple things like that. I mean, here we go. This is more how they should look. And there we go. So that's the variant you want to go with. Oh, okay. Oh, it didn't advance to the end phase. I see. So, well, honestly, this is already in production, so you built these. That's what it is. And then you quickly remove any kind of corruption within our defense industry, and you take the best elements of it. So all the designers come together and they build out the next vehicle, and that's how you do that. And that's the next round of it. And you transition to the next round because you don't really have the luxury of having this thing that deters our capability. We go with this because it's cheaper, even though it's. But if we could have the law on the masses and the most on the better thing, then we should go with that. But since they came up with it, we can't use it and we can't license it and all this other bullshit. So it doesn't make any sense. But in wartime, then we could um, suspend that for the war period and be like, this is what we're doing right now because we have to. But then afterwards, we go back to the normal models of how we do business. we have certain things have to be adjusted to because we won't have the luxury of charging $100 for a 20 millimeter cannon shell or whatever the fuck it is. But anyway, so the key thing is choose which vehicles you want. Make sure that it could stop at 50 cal. You could put them in numbers um, that are effective and use that ratio. The smaller it is, the more maneuverable it is. And the smaller it is, the more you produce. So the smaller they are, the faster they need to be. The smaller they are, the more you put out, the more you're able to produce because they use less material. So you got to choose wisely. But those basic concepts. And then you could get into the details of this because once you get into the details, then that's where, you know, the devil's in the detail. That's where, your alternative motives and agenda and personal and corporate there where our national defense could be compromised when you go into those specific things because it looks like it's the right thing to do, but it goes off on a tangent and it draws away from our national defense. So we have to be very attentive to that and just I want to say streamline it. It's more complex than that. But yeah, we'll be all right. We could definitely put out because the thing is, like, look how many cars that we put out a year. How many cars do we produce each year? 80 million motor vehicles are produced worldwide. So then say how many cars the United States produce about 10 million produce each day. So in 2020, there's estimated 150,000 passenger cars produced every day around the world. So we could put out numbers like that. So it's doable. Even if we like half that number or quarter that number. So a million vehicles is not unfeasible. Trying to protect our infantry and I hate to say the word again, and maybe it's like archaic, but definitely force multiply them, right? It'll be fine. There's just no way. Thing is, it's just not automatic that we're going to win. We have to do those things to make sure we do and tend to it. And it's as simple as that. And that's what I'm just getting at too. I mean, there's many different ways to conventionally beat waves of millions of people. And just is just one way of that. And this is just an example of it. and maybe a foundation of doing it. I guess what I'm trying to get into it. So it's not like there's one way to do it, but it just when a group of talented, brilliant people come together and keep working, the problem will be fine, you know. But we have to use our time wisely now, and that's what I'm getting at. And I'll leave it at that. I want to have it run on forever, and those basics will be perfectly fine, you know. But we do have to bring in our supply lines and make sure we have them guarded and to trusted democracies, and we'll be fine. And it should be a catalyst. This conflict should be a catalyst to now make sure that our industry is interconnected to people we trust. It should have been like that to begin with. Anyways, I'm out. Peace.